Real boss men, they do not desire a financial or an intellectual equal. They are not attracted to it. It is a turn off. The pee-pee goes, burr, burr, burr. It does. I'm telling y'all the truth. They did not go to law school, L'Oreal, so they could end up with a peer.
Welcome to Listen to Black Women. I'm L'Oreal, and we're here with Elle Varner.
I'm a feminine woman, and traditionally, I want to play the feminine role.
Ebony K. Williams.
Our show up in this world is Ebony K. Williams, and no man can just hop on that.
And the beautiful Melissa Ford.
I want to preface all my answers with the fact that I am a progressive traditionalist.
And let me tell y'all something, you are in for a treat of an episode, because you are always gonna tell it like it is, whether they get backlash.
All right, brothers. So we there's a small podcast called Listen to Black Women. All right. So it's gonna be in these, what I think is like 16 minutes. It's gonna be a lot that's gonna be said, 16 and a half minutes. Let me tell you something, brothers. I guess everybody has their own definition of what equally yoked means. I looked up the definition, okay? I looked it up off for Google. I also looked it up biblically. And both of them are very similar. So when you talk about equally yoked, we're talking about somebody that has the same faith. That's the Google version. And the biblical version is pretty much the same thing about faith and about religion. If y'all are both on the same page when it comes to faith and religion. So now, these four women, all four of them are successful. All four of them are over 35. We know that Ebony K is 40 years old, single, no kids. And all these women are going to pretty much talk about when it comes about relationships and why it's not working in the so-called Black community. It's funny how these women see what a lot of our women, especially our Black women, what they want to do is match you. That's how they quote unquote find their love. You have to have the same amount. You have to at least make close, or at least the same or more than them, in order for you to be able to date these women. So it's going to be a lot that's going to be said, and I'm going to chime in throughout the video. All right? So let's go ahead and get into it.
Backlash or not. So we have a lot of issues when it comes to when we want to say what we want as Black women. Right, Ebony?
Well, since you went there, yeah, it's interesting. So
now you see how quickly she went to Ebony. So because you have to understand, they always have that one woman that's going to speak for all women. So that's why she threw it straight to Ebony, because they're probably they're not gonna be able to. I'm not gonna even say comprehend. They're not gonna be able to say what they really want to say, I guess. So they're gonna put it all on Ebony. But let's go ahead and continue.
So the past several months, where I've been leading conversation,
yes,
amongst Black women and beyond, I think the main thing I've learned from this, y'all, is people really want Black women to be happy with anything. What people really want Black women to understand is that we are to be accepting of our positioning as the least desirable in society. We should get the memo that nobody really wants a Black woman. Thus, if anybody was to find themselves willing to take up with us, we should be happy, we should be grateful, and we should shut up about it. And if you are a Black woman that dares to push back on that mythology, because that's what it is, it's a damn lie from the pits of hell.
Right.
And if you were to push back on that and insist upon a value system, insist upon a criteria, insist upon just a standard into which we want to operate romantically, we are demonized.
Yes.
We are, we are seen as ungrateful, and eventually we become the ungrateful, angry Black woman. And I personally won't have it.
Every single time.
Yeah.
And you know what was really disgusting to me? You got a lot
brothers, let me say something real quick. It's just a side note. I don't know what's going on with these women and this and their hair. I have yet to see a so-called black woman that was born with orange hair. I could deal with a woman with highlights in their hair as long as it has a natural look. I'll even deal with a woman that has maybe like burgundy or red highlights in their hair. But when you just straight out have pink, green, blue, all these different colors that's in the Crayola box that doesn't even fit your skin tone, you looking like a straight up clown. But I just wanted to just throw that out there. Let's continue.
A lot of backlash. And then I believe it was Tyler Perry who came on the flip side and basically said that we need to start looking at men that don't make as much or the stay-at-home dads and considering them.
I think his exact thing was, I mean, if he can contribute to, the light bill, then
The
you know,
light bill.
the light bill,
That's
but
what he
and
said.
he makes you happy in all other areas, then I mean, and he met you at your worth. I thought he'd actually said he met you at your worst.
Worst.
I was like, wait, what are we even saying? What is this story that we're being force fed? It's gross.
And they were
It was a lot of black backlash with a lot of black women when it came to Tyler Perry and what he said. The same black women that support that goofy dude. I don't know if he's a homosexual or not. Allegedly he's a homosexual, but now all of a sudden there's backlash when it comes to what he said. And who he was really talking to was mostly these successful black women because they're the ones that are struggling to be in a relationship. So let's continue.
applauding him.
I was just like, first of all, Tyler Perry makes movies where the bus driver looks like Boris Kojo. And in that case, bring him on. Every single woman would be like, girl, I'm dating a bus driver. Oh, you want to see him? You know what I'm saying? So, yes, that's a factor. And it's like, I kind of feel like it was a gotcha moment with you.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, why throw bus driver at you?
Here's the thing about what Tyler's suggesting, right? The subtext is going back to what we just talked about. Your worth is minimal. So if you are willing to accept minimal contribution to your household, a la a light bill, that is equivalent to your value in society. That's the subtext there that no one's saying out loud.
But but the other subtext in there is the assumption that black women's only option is to date black men.
Oh, well.
The conversation really
Okay, now.
never gets examined as to the other options that black women have.
Hey,
You know, and listen, I understand wanting to be race loyal. I understand wanting to, if you're a black woman, you want to marry a black man, you want to have black children. I totally get it. But the reality of the situation is that I feel like, and I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody, I feel like black men don't really want to have the conversation that black women actually do have more options that are available to them than.
Now, brothers, why would anybody want to have a discussion with a black woman about the other options that they have when it comes to dating? And keep in mind, she keeps saying the word dating. She didn't say marriage. She didn't even say relationship. She said dating. That's all she said. So before I let them continue, here's the problem. Because even if most black men we already know that most black men will tolerate a lot of the nonsense from black American women. Do you really think that these other races are going to tolerate the nonsense? Do you think that they're going to tolerate their mouth? Do you really think that they're going to tolerate their verbal disrespect? Do you think that's going to happen? Do you think that they're going to allow that? Do you think an Arab man is going to allow the verbal disrespect from a black woman? I seriously doubt it. I seriously doubt a Latin man's going to do that. An Italian man. They're not going to tolerate all that nonsense. Only black American men tolerate the stuff that comes out of black women's mouth. And we're just talking about their mouth. We ain't even talking about anything else that's disruptive about them. So, but they think they have an option. And keep in mind, I'm gonna use the word again, the word that they keep using, dating. They didn't say marriage or relationship. They said dating. So I'm sure that these men outside that are not that are non-black, that they don't have a problem dating these women, especially if they know they can get sex. But that's probably it. They'll take them out to eat, but they're not going for marriage. These Latin men, these Italian men, these Arab men are not out here lining up to marry these black women. But let's continue.
Than are ever kind of proposed.
Yeah.
Because yes, black men, sure, it might be a little bit more difficult, but if you are willing to date outside your race, the options open up. And
But
culture,
They do, but wait, I have to
so
give
hard.
I have to give a caveat for this because I don't want to make any presumptions. As somebody who has been very open and transparent about my dating within and beyond black men, I just want to say that that's not necessarily the savior complex that people think. Unfortunately, because I think when I have this conversation with black women who have never dated outside of black men, they often have a romanticized fantasy ideal about what that is, kind of like non-black men will save us. And I don't know.
Bam. A romantic fantasy, aka they have an imagination of what it would be like for them. But when reality kicks in, they're not going to be able to handle that. And I probably shouldn't even use the word handle, but they're not going to be able to, because at the end of the day, they're going to have to, um, what's the word I'm looking for? They're going to have to bow. I don't even want to even use the word bow down, but they're going to have to integrate with their customs. And they're not going to be able to do that. They're not going to be able to be submissive. We already know a lot of women can't even cook now. They're not going to want to be a quote unquote housewife. Not these women, not these quote unquote black business women or these entrepreneurs. They don't want to serve their husband or their man. So they're not going to be able to do that. I don't know what type of imagination they have, but it's not what they think is going to be. Their imagination and reality is not going to work. It's going to clash. But let's continue.
I don't know,
no,
straight to
that is
Cam.
not.
And I know that's not what you're
yeah,
saying,
yeah.
right? But I do think like that was in the comments,
Yeah.
right, of kind of my bus driver gate. Well, sis, what they need to know is you can date non-black men, and you will still have many of the same perils
Yeah.
because there are differences culturally, but men are men. And when it comes down to misogyny and default presumptions of feminine worth and value, some of those things control cross-culturally. I only know it from experience.
But I will say, some of the women that I know that have dated outside of their race, I do not. I only date black men. But they will try to convince me that it is better. And maybe that's why we have that idea that it is romanticized. Because it's like, oh, girl, you need to get you an Italian man because they know how to worship us. They know how to treat us better. Okay, so when it...
Worship, they know how to worship us. So again, I hope y'all heard what she said. They know how to worship us. So that's something that these women want. But once again, when reality kicks in, they're gonna be butthurt. So let's go ahead and continue.
When it comes to that, do you feel like people throw that in your face as well? Because when you see a black man that's dating a white woman, it's kind of just like, okay, you know, the athletes, oh, they all got them a white woman, and that's fine.
There's a whole movement called
They always looking at the athletes to compare black men. The athletes, just with the NBA alone, it's only 1% of the public. Only 1% of Americans are able to join. I mean, are getting drafted into the NBA. 1%. And that's just the men. I'm not talking about black men. I'm just talking about men, period. 1% of Americans get drafted into the NBA. Let's continue.
passport, bro.
This is what I mean.
Oh, God.
I mean, it goes to Ebony's point
Yes.
about black women being fed the narrative that you got to take what you can get, that you're the lowest on the totem pole in terms of attractiveness, and that black men are actively saying, I do not want a black woman. I am going to go to another country to find another, ethnicity or race of woman because I deem them to be more attractive. I deem them to have more traditional values, bow to me.
So if that's the case, if they have more traditional values, don't you think that you should fix yourself as a Black American woman? Because I'm sure they're telling you that your mouth is reckless. I'm sure they're telling you that y'all don't want to be submissive. A lot of you women don't even want to do the basics. Some of you don't want the responsibility of being a wife. There's some of you mothers, some of you women that don't even want to be mothers. So what is the point? What's the wrong with a man's preference? See, when a man has a preference, y'all have a problem. But now y'all putting out what y'all want, and we're supposed to submit to that. It's not gonna work, ladies. It will not work. Let's continue.
Find them to do what, though?
To marry them.
There shouldn't be no reason why you can't say, I don't want to date a bus driver. You know why? You're a lawyer. You did your education. You've done your work. You've been on television. You're still on television. And you probably don't want that kind of man, and that's okay.
And I don't think that man wants me, lawyer. That's the other part of the
where
conversation.
You gonna meet him?
No, I'm not saying that, but that man does not want me.
I don't know why they on this bus driver thing, but I've already talked about that on another video, so I'll just let them finish up what they got to say about, because the one with the orange hair who's delusional. As you can tell, that hair makes her confused, but they're going to continue throughout, no, at least throughout the video, they're going to be using that word. They're going to be saying bus driver, but let's continue.
Want me, Melissa? Can you speak to that?
I had this exact conversation about her. And I posed the question about, the CEO of Xerox. Why should she have to date a bus driver? Why is this even a part of the conversation? First of all, the two of them probably have very little in common. Not even.
You know what's crazy? And I know I keep stopping. It was another Black woman that brought up bus driver. It wasn't no Black man that brought up bus driver. It was a Black woman that brought up bus driver, and it's almost like she's trying to take it out on Black men are the ones, like you should date a bus driver. Again, it wasn't a Black man that brought it up. Now there were Black men that talked about it, but it wasn't a Black man that brought up bus driver. Let's continue.
Even in terms of them personally, but their lives and their lifestyles and that sort of thing. And what's called into question when it comes to trying to date somebody who's of a different status than where you are, you're going to encounter problems that are going to result in microaggressions, just like the fissures are going to kind of show up in the relationship, but it's going to be a lot of unsaid things.
Insecurities,
you know what I'm saying? Like, why, listen, in a perfect world, Miss CEO of Xerox, she falls in love with a bus driver and everything works out well. But in reality, probably not.
Well, here's the thing, Melissa. What you're naming, though, is really the crux of the issue, which is that people want to sit on platforms, social media, radio, and television, and the like, and they want to pretend as if we live in a society, particularly in this nation, that doesn't have class, socioeconomic distinctions.
Exactly.
Let's just start from that point.
Yeah.
We want to pretend that we live in this kumbaya society where, quote, everyone's the same. Stop cap. Stop cap.
Yeah. It's very
It's
true.
not.
Yeah.
It's not. Like we need
true.
to be clear. And it's not, for me, it's never about being better than, which I think is how a lot of that was framed. I've been very clear. My mother drove Charlotte-Mecklenburg School's bus for many years to make sure that I had everything that I needed. And from that, and if I bought a bus driver home to Gloria, she would slack the black off of me. Because her point is I put you in position to go get it. To go get it at a different and, yes, higher level. So why, and let me tell you something else I know about women.
That's kind of funny, that what she's saying. So you're 40 years old and you still haven't gotten it yet. You're 40, Ebony K. Williams, and you still haven't gotten it yet. But see, these women here, they're looking for a mate that matches them income wise. Nothing wrong with that, but as you can see, all four of them are unsuccessful. They can get a man, but I'm sure that all four of them want marriage, and they're all four of them are unsuccessful, including Ebony K, because she's going to speak about. She's going to talk a little bit about when she first got married. But let's continue.
Women who show up in success and financially and this, that, and the third, and then they try to act as if we're all the same, and they do date, men that maybe are differently positioned financially or educationally or otherwise. They are typically resented. I'm gonna just tell you the truth. The women I know that build men, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because we've all done it. That's truth be told. In my first marriage, I paid the bills. Let's be clear. I'm not speaking hypothetically. I'm speaking from experience. I was a lawyer dating a grad student. Who do you think was running them bills?
Right.
Let's stop it. And what I felt, y'all, was I appreciate the lifestyle I get to live with you, but I hate you for it.
Yes.
But I hate you for it.
Yes.
I hate that I got to have my hand out when I want to go get these new kicks. I hate that I have to ask in a way about, well, where are we going on vacation and what does my contribution look like? Because I'm not running shop the way I really want to run shop, as most men really like to lead their household.
Right.
Exactly. And so when I was talking about Miss CEO of Xerox, I'm saying, what is the problem with a woman of that stature? The amount of time that she's invested, not into her, schooling, but her profession, into her life, building herself up. Why shouldn't she feel like she should be equally yoked? Why is that a problem?
Yeah.
And then it's all.
Now, you see, she used the word or the phrase equally yoked. Again, they're using it in the wrong context. They're using it as the fact that she has that I don't know who the person is that the CEO of Xerox, but I'm going to assume that she makes a lot of money. We'll just say $1 million a year. We'll just say that. So somebody has to match her income wise, and that's how these women use the word equally yoked. So she's using it in the wrong context. But let's continue.
It's always the reverse card. Well, when men are titans of industries, do they go looking for equally yoked, et cetera, et cetera? No, because they're probably not going to go find it. I'm like, oh, Jesus, Lord, take the wheel.
Yeah. Well, they also want somebody that's gonna.
It's not that it's not even that. Even though you keep using equally yoked wrong, men are only they don't have to. If a man is financially stable, he's not looking for a woman that makes the same amount of money as him. He wants a submissive woman that is going to support him. That's all he wants. That's it. But for some reason, these women, and they put it in other women's head, that they want a man that makes just as much as they do. Oh, I make 200K a year, so he should make 200K a year. And even if we're talking about their definition of equally yoked, these are the same women that they don't even want to pay the majority of the bills. They don't even want to even do a quote unquote 50-50. They don't even want to even do that. They still want the man to be a protector. They definitely want him to be a provider. So they don't even want to even they don't even want to even spend any of their money. So do they really want to be quote unquote equally yoked?
That's gonna follow them around and do what they want them to do.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Titans of industry are looking for women who are not going to say, I'm sorry, my schedule is
Exactly.
They need a woman who is going to be at their beck and call, who is going to be available for everything, who's going to have the kids, raise them, and just be available for them.
Would you ever do something like that, Al?
What?
Pay all the bills? Like, would you take care?
She's too cute.
Like, say he's like a stay-at-home dad, and he's taking care of the kids, and you are the breadwinner. Are you okay with taking care of all the bills?
No.
No.
No, yeah.
there would have to be a certain there would
Y'all,
have to be circumstance.
you see that? That's why I said they don't want to be equally yoked, brothers. Or according to their definition, they don't want to be equally yoked. They don't even want to take care of all the bills. So, what is it that you really want? You don't want to be submissive. You want to continue to be a quote unquote successful businesswoman. And brothers, I'm gonna tell you this. I don't advise any of you brothers to move in with the woman at all. I don't advise you to do that because you're going to hurt yourself in the long run. But let's continue.
Circumstances for that to, like, what's the issue?
Why aren't you working?
Yes, why aren't you working?
She's saying, put another way, make it make sense.
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
Make it make
And if
sense.
it doesn't make sense, it's a no.
Now, what do y'all think about this, though, when the man does work and then he's never there?
Well, personally, I'm fine with it because the Bible says you're supposed to provide. But that's just me.
Now, all of a sudden, she wants to use a quote unquote Bible verse. They wasn't used. They ain't now he's supposed to provide. I wonder what it says about what the woman is supposed to do. They ain't gonna come up with that. They're not gonna look for that Bible verse.
It's me. I'm also
Like,
not,
are the lights on?
I believe in provision.
Like, is the house there?
Yeah.
Right, because somebody does have to go get it. And just to show you I'm consistent on this, I have friends who were raised in more affluent childhoods and backgrounds than I was, where they had two parents in the home, one personal friend, both of her parents were doctors, and her mother, who was a pediatrician, was never around. And she went to a private school, and she'd be like, Mommy, you know, this is bullshit because all my other friends' moms are on the field trips and where are you? And in my house, that's like so crazy because I had a single mom who was working 3 or 4 jobs, driving a school bus, also getting paid at the time $25 an hour. I'm talking about in the 90s at UPS. Shout out to UPS. And all these things. So my expectation was that she wouldn't be around.
Right.
Because I understood at a young age, to your point, Elle, you can't have both at the same time.
Yeah.
Someone cannot be taking care of your lived expenses and be up in your face. So which one do you value more? Like mama.
Now y'all see what she's doing. Again, she's putting out how she wants things to go. So, and I guess because of the amount of money, she can do that. That's if she's dating a man that's making less than her. But let's go ahead and continue.
Mama can't be making Lunchables and on the field trips if she's going to get it.
Yeah.
To make sure that I can have the things I need to succeed in life.
Yeah.
Same thing with my husband. My husband can't be up in my face, sitting on the couch with me watching Netflix if I need somebody to send these kids to private school.
Yeah.
If I need somebody to make sure that we have our mortgage paid, not our rent paid, our mortgage paid. So I'm very much okay. Baby, go to work.
So you'll be okay with him being gone for...
Bye-bye.
Really?
I love you. Go get it. And that's what I want men to understand about most black women that I know. Most of us, contrary to popular belief, don't just want a man. We want the man that we want. We want a man that we desire. We want a man that we're actually attracted to. Physically.
Here's the problem with that. A lot of these women, the men that they want, do not want them. And that's the problem. And I'm not telling these women they should just go ahead and get what let me phrase that. Whatever's out there, just get it or take what they can get. I'm not telling women to do that. That's not what I'm saying. If you feel that you can get these high class men or all these imagination, these Build-A-Bear men that you guys are talking about, if you can get them, by all means get them. But as you can see, all 4 of these women are over 35 and all 4 of them are single. So obviously it's something that they don't want to give up. And that's the problem with a lot of American women. That's why so many of them are unsuccessful when it comes to relationships, because you have these women that speak like this and it gets in other women's head and they feel the same way these women do. But let's continue.
Physically, emotionally, psychologically, intellectually.
a
And
lot
if
to
you're
ask.
not that, you know what I
That is a
mean?
whole lot
to
right
ask.
nowadays.
It is a lot to ask.
It's not a lot
It's
to
not.
ask.
I actually think it is.
No, I swear to God, everybody trying to convince us that we need to accept the bare minimum needs to go somewhere. No, that is not.
Nobody's telling you to accept the bare minimum. As a matter of fact, I think men are probably telling you, hey, if that's what you want, go get it. It's just the fact that most of you are not going to get it. But hey, if you want to go if you want to go ahead and build your man, by all means, do it. Hopefully it works out for you, ladies.
Not a lot to ask. I swear to God, the bar's in hell.
No, but I agree with you because
I
if
just
they
don't
have
want
all
it.
that,
Was
they
the
want
end of my
love.
point.
Yeah, they want
so
someone
if
that
you're
can
not all of those things, if I don't desire you, I really don't want you. Real boss men, they do not desire a financial or an intellectual equal. They are not attracted to it. It is a turn off. The pee goes burp, burp, burp. It does. I'm telling y'all the truth. They did not go to law school, L'Oreal, so they could end up with a peer. They went to law school, they went to medical school, they went to Harvard MBA so that they could be the dominant, so that they could run the shop.
We're all single here on this panel. Are you single?
I am definitely single.
I'm newly single.
Yeah.
I've been single a very long time.
Yeah.
And
Single.
and all successful,
Yes.
which is scary. So it is that hard, right?
it's-
We're
yeah.
saying it's not that hard, but you have 4 successful women.
Because the success is not to our advantage
Beautiful.
romantically.
Now-
okay, let's just name some things.
Yeah.
Okay, because I can't sit up on this panel and not name the fact that even in this conversation of 4 diverse women of different lived experiences, we still represent some similarities. Nobody on this panel is darker than a brown paper bag. We need to name that. Nobody on this panel is more than a size 10. And so let's just kind of expand the conversation. We represent a preference. Oh, am I the only one here?
No, I'm listening. No, we're listening.
We represent a preference amongst what society and in particular black men have said they preferred. And yet,
No, black men are not saying black men are not saying that they want y'all. That is not what they're saying. So obviously y'all ladies are not listening. But let's continue.
we represent black women that are still paying a price and a tax for our success. Can we imagine what this conversation looks like with our darker melanated sisters? Can we imagine what this conversation looks like with our curvier sisters? So I think that this is showing to me the impetus of the crisis. We're in a crisis when it comes to black women in romantic partnership, because to Melissa's point earlier, of course we can, and many of us do date outside of the black race, but I'm never gonna try to convince.
Y'all heard the word date. That's all they're doing, brothers. They're dating outside. They're just dating. They're dating outside the race, and they're still unsuccessful. So it ain't just black men that's turning them down when it comes to marriage. It's men of other races. I can't make this up. That came out of her mouth. Let's continue.
A black woman to want something she doesn't want.
Oh,
right?
never,
You know what I
never,
mean?
absolutely
if you
not.
if you are attracted and desirous of a black man, that's what I want for you.
All right, thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Listen, this was an amazing conversation. Melissa, Ebony.
So, brothers, I still have another video.